Да я как-то уже привык. Надеюсь, оно от хоста не требует большие силы. Я запустил, вдруг оно заработает. Если нет, то пойду куда?
Нахуй?
А блин, может из-за того, что я хост мне не даст? А, ну, или даст, хуй знает.
Что тебе даст?
Не знаю, привязан ли со мной персонаж к этому всему.
Ну, я тебе трансфернул контроль над Ирией Рохином. А, получил.
Так, вопрос, кто только разговаривает.
Наверное, я?
Yes, what is it?
Ну да, я.
Back when we met, you told me about an internal disagreement.
Так, только мне теперь надо опять перенастроить скиллы все, блять.
What exactly happened?
Мне тоже.
Why do you want to know?
No particular reason. I'm simply curious.
I see. Well, simply put, the guild had two leaders until half a year ago, me and Lena. Lena and a lot of the other mages felt that they could uphold their neutrality no longer without sacrificing their integrity.
You're talking about the persecution of mages.
Yes, I am. As Lena said, they are crucifying us, burning us alive, putting masks on our heads that destroy our minds. If there's something wrong with the world, it's people who keep their heads down because they are afraid to stand in for what's right.
Well, she did have a point.
In her reasoning, she
Не
did,
была
yes.
точка.
However, her stance conflicted with everything the Creators Guild stands for. We preserve knowledge, push forward the boundaries of magic. We do not involve ourselves in power games and politics. Figuratively speaking, a fisher will never be a good military commander, just like a mage will never be a good politician.
So where did Lena and the other mages go?
I do not know. They left to fight the purity and save mages, but I have not seen them ever since.
Could you tell me more about Lena? What was her position in the guild?
She was the guild's treasure master. Other than that, I do not know what to tell you. She was quite young when she joined the guild, not even 24 winters old, and immensely talented. When it came to mentalism, her skills were unmatched. She was different than the others. She was better than the others. And I always saw a spark of genius in her eyes. And yes, I do know that most people would call that attraction. But it was just a fraction of what made our bond unique.
Well, I understand the conflict.
Well, you are an empathetic woman, so I would have been surprised if you did not. But these events lie in the past. There is no point in discussing them any further, though I had certainly hoped for a different outcome.
You seem bitter.
As I said, I had hoped for a different outcome.
Так, ну вроде бы раскидал. А ты кто такой? А,
All this.
Must be quite the change of scenery.
Yes, you could say that. All my life I dreamed of stepping through the portal, and now I did. And it's beautiful. Everything is so vast. Oh well. It will take some getting used to, that's for certain. There's something else I wanted to discuss with you. I brought some things from the island that could come in handy on your travels. Weapons, trinkets, all sorts of things I found in the Hibernian ruins over the years. Most of them haven't been used for millennia, but for a little gold I could get them back into shape. Just let me know if you want to take a look.
I will. Thank you.
Шоп.
так, что ты продаешь? Талисманы, кольца, меч какой-то, топор даже.
Yes? Want to trade?
А, нет, это Викинг Трайбсворд. Топор это у меня. Ясно. Можешь идти пососать Бибу.
Можешь мне еще гором кинуть?
Че кинуть?
Гором. Ну, гор персонаж. Орк.
А, отдал.
Угу.
Даже не заметил, что он на тебе. Точнее, на мне.
Ну так у нас же, получается, поменялись персонажи наоборот. Пока
Так,
еще нихуя не можем
хватит.
создать.
Да. Мы еще не нашли достаточно хуйни. Я тебе, в принципе, могу всех поотдавать.
А я тебе как раз и Изгрима с Урамом отдал, потому что...
А. Ну, похуй, я все равно пока не планирую ими пользоваться. Мне пока и так норм.
Потому что как раз таки этот... Урам, у него 2 меча на мили.
Я не знаю. Композиция из 2 рыжих баб мне пока больше нравится.
Ну, понятное дело. Просто меня бесит, что у них левелапы, а я не знаю, как их качать.
Понимаю.
Ну что, идем внутрь, получается.
Да, жми.
Время вставлять камушки и посмотреть, что будет. Может быть, ну... Ну, кстати, теперь я первый гружусь, потому что как хост.
Ну да.
Ну, горячая смена хоста вроде бы прошла безболезненно. Пока что.
Кстати, на моей стороне даже не показало, что ты грузился.
У меня просто 100% сразу было.
Куда?
Что нам эти батарейки дадут? Армию из 1 000 000 воинов?
Tahar, finally! Do you have the stone?
I do. What now? How do we connect it to the Nexus?
Well, I've done a little research on that. It should be pretty straightforward. Give me the stone for a second, please.
Sure.
Thanks.
Sure.
Now, let's see.
Облизнуть, покрутить.
Whoa!
This is amazing.
Amazing.
What just happened? Was that the stone?
Yeah. It seems like our plan worked. The stones are the power sources of the Nexus.
Not sources, Tahar. They're simply the catalysts. As I said, the energy, all this magic, it comes from someplace else.
Well, I
Из
definitely
мира
know why the
Варкрафта.
Shapers were so powerful now. If they were able to harness that, I wouldn't want to be their enemy.
Из Хмельницкой АЭС.
Pardon?
Rekindling this place. I can feel their thoughts now. At least, some of them.
You mean the Shapers' thoughts?
Those who connected themselves to this place. The ones who had the power of telepathy. They left an echo. And whatever wiped out the Shapers, it caused... pain. Horrible pain.
I see.
Well, fascinating or not, we need to connect our minds to the Nexus to find the source of the blood burn, right? Can we do that now?
No, it's not strong enough yet.
Well, we have the second stone already. Let's insert it. Okay, I'm ready. Sure this place isn't gonna blow up once we insert the second stone, Iskram?
Я вижу 3 плиты.
No, I don't think that's likely.
Что ты видишь?
3 плиты.
А,
Blasted, blistering blazes. I don't know what to say. This is amazing.
But it seems like it worked. We've restored the Nexus to full power.
I'm still not sure I like this. What now, though? Is it strong enough to perform this joining ritual now?
It should be. And you, Tahar, should be the one to do it. You need to connect your mind to the Nexus. That way you might be able to sense who or whatever is sending out the song. What do you say? Are you ready?
ну
I
погнали.
think so.
Good. Then step into the forge.
Мне будут ковать хуй?
And And what now? It...
А, ну, видимо, да, судя по звукам. Я пробил головой стол.
F. Оказывается, это просто песни из нового Нира.
Вылезай из-под стола.
Is it over?
Yes, I think so.
Я знаю кунг-фу.
By the Guardians. That was... I don't know what just happened.
Describe.
There were voices,
In my head.
screams, thoughts, images.
How do you feel now? I mean, has anything changed?
I think so. Yes. I feel, I don't know, clearer? As if something in my mind opened up.
Then it worked! Niehaus hammer, we did it! You joined yourself with the Nexus.
So, I am telepathic now?
You're not a dreamweaver. I'd feel it if that were the case.
I don't think you are, but you're connected to this place now, and therefore to the Shaper memories.
Does that mean we can finally locate the cause of the song?
You tell me. Think of the song, Tahar. Close your eyes. What do you feel? What do you hear? What do you see?
I'll try.
Я чувствую, что кто-то напердел.
Бывает.
A failure. That's what you are.
No, that's impossible.
What is it?
My father. I heard his voice.
Your father?
Вот это поворот.
So you think he's behind this?
I also heard the voice of a woman. She whispered something.
A woman? Now this is, interesting. But I still don't understand. Do you really think your father is involved in the blood burn?
I don't think so. There's more to it. But yes, my father is involved in this somehow.
This is helpful, but it still does not tell us where to start searching. Think hard, Tahar. Is there anything else?
Yes, there were sounds. Drips, crickets,
Трипс.
flies. But
Мы отправляемся на болото.
Your father's laboratory.
Tiara's breath. Of course.
The eye? You mean the marshlands?
Yes.
Как я
my
угадал?
father had a laboratory there, in the old abandoned manor of House Wait. Nobody was allowed to follow him there, not even
Хаус
Rowan or I.
Киквейт.
Well, sounds like we have a lead. The blood burn and the Song of the White are somehow connected to your father in his laboratory.
So it seems. Yes.
Tahar, maybe...
What?
Never mind. It doesn't matter.
Rowan, tell me.
There's nothing to tell.
Well, if you say so. I'll send a messenger to inform Lacane as soon as possible. He will want to be there. Let's get prepared.
Ну, погнали. Это мы типа собирали целую кучу армии, чтобы пойти в какую-то лабораторию.
Да, будем захватывать лабораторные подземелья.
Кстати, меня Дискорд меньше теперь ест?
Вроде да, а что?
Ну, я просто поигрался с настройками канцелейшена, Меня вроде теперь не кенселят.
Я как раз хотел пошутить те, что в Твиттере канцелят. Неужто ты поменял птичку на собаку?
У меня, кстати, собака.
У меня тоже.
И так и живем.
Ох, ебать.
Чуть-чуть разговорчиков добавилось.
Но не со всеми.
Iana?
Oh, yes. Forgive me, I was lost.
Forgive me, I have sinned.
Well, this place. Since you've rekindled the Nexus, it is an ocean of thoughts, feelings, and memories. You felt it yourself as you joined your mind with the Nexus.
So you can hear the Shaper's thoughts now?
Fragments, yes. Just like when you had your vision.
How come the joining didn't make me more like you? I thought the Shapers who connected themselves with the Nexus were able to feel each other's feelings and hear each other's thoughts. Isn't that exactly
У
what
тебя
Dream
какой-то
Makers
апгрейд
do?
был?
Может, ты его завязал, но я сохранился до этого.
It's different from my abilities. You can only hear the thoughts of the other ones who once joined themselves to the Nexus. And they are all long dead. In other words, you're listening to the whispers of 1,000 corpses. My mind, on the other hand, is like an open window. And people...
Iana?
Oh,
Да, блять.
well, so you... Fragments, yes.
Случайно клацнул.
Well, what?
I'm afraid I don't. Just imagine standing inside at Everlight's market at high noon. It's impossible to make out...
What do you make of this vision I had?
What should I make of it? I don't know, Tahar. Only you can answer that question. But I think your father's laboratory holds the answers you're looking for. And maybe an end to the blood burn.
Tahar, how do you feel? You sounded a bit lost before.
I guess I was. My father's voice. It brought back memories.
And not exactly good ones, I suppose. Well, I hope we can find some answers in the marshlands. Is there anything else you wish to talk about? If not, I best get prepared. Tahar.
I'd still like to know more about how you ended up in Northander.
Bugger and blast. And here I was hoping you'd forgotten. Alright, I'll tell you. But only under one condition.
Yes?
That I get to ask you a personal question too.
Then we have a deal. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Fair enough. I was born in the Windwall Mountains. Sorry, still sorting out my thoughts. It's been a long time since I last told this story to anyone. Alright, one more time. As you can imagine, I was born in Windwall, a child of the rocks.
Come again?
A true dwarf, as some would say. Born in the buried city, not on the outside as the traders and farmers are. My family was quite privileged. Not nobility, but my mother and father led a big smeltery which supplied one of the finest smithies. Moon silver weaponry. Ever heard of it?
I think so. The commanders of the Royal Army use them.
Figures. Well, my childhood was a rather unremarkable one. I had two brothers and a sister, and even though I was the oldest child, I was always the most quiet one. I learned quickly how to wield an axe, and I still
Как ты пытаешься выйти?
I never took pleasure in it. The same
Через
goes for
дворфа.
Darren's craft. For some reason,
Пытается
Neil had
переступить.
given me a talent for metallurgy, but not the
Можешь
desire to use
побегать
it.
по этим,
Instead,
по
my biggest
продавцам.
love was
Вдруг
always
что-то
reading
интересное
big
найдешь.
books.
Как раз на нижних пошел.
And I assume your parents didn't approve of that.
Oh no, they didn't mind. I had 3 siblings who could do the job as well as I, so the future of our family was secured. On the contrary, they were quite accepting, which wasn't usual amongst dwarves, especially not those in Windwall.
Anything on your mind?
Armors, shields.
Dwarves are traditionalists, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they are. They love their brawls, they love their ale, and they love their metal crafting. And they never miss a chance to tell the outside world just how much they do.
Well, to be honest, when I think of dwarven culture, that's exactly what comes to my mind.
See? And that's the problem. There's always diversity in every race. There are soft-hearted orcs, there are elves who don't give a damn about the white tree, and there are humans with... well, you get the point.
Yes?
What I'm trying to say is, many dwarves love living these traditions, but there are some like me who just don't fit in. This is one of the reasons why I appreciate you and this group so much, Tahar. Aenir's tools or not, we're all pariahs, in one way or another.
Are the surface dwarves different?
Depends. There are some who are very open-minded. For example, the traders who get around a lot. On the other hand, there are some who are as ignorant as the Windwallers.
So, what happened? Why did you leave Windwall?
I'm getting there, Tahar. When I came of age, I found work in the Windwall Library. That time was also when I deepened my knowledge of the Shapers. I devoured all the books there were, and bought whatever writings the merchants brought in. They smiled at me, talked of me as the strange bird, but I didn't care. The more I read, the more spellbound I became, and the more I dreamed of journeying through Io to solve all those mysteries not yet uncovered.
I'm sure I have just what you need.
Are there Shaper ruins in the Windwall Mountains?
Hardly. And those that are there are buried beneath miles and miles of rock. Impossible to access without a huge expedition.
Huh. And what kept you from doing just that?
Well, two things. First of all, my attachment to my family. Secondly, Gilak.
Gilak?
Получается, есть апгрейды для эльфов, по сути, для
We
кузни.
met... I'd rather not go into detail too much. Fact is,
Их
we lived
занадали
together
они
for
нам.
6 years. He was very dear to me. Let's put it that way.
На что там есть апгрейды, говоришь?
Ну, на юнитов, типа,
But something
кузню.
happened, didn't it?
Yeah.
Они типа прикольно, но денег стоит, конечно.
Ever heard of it?
Хотя, если бы мы продали
Yes.
все лишнее, что у нас есть, у нас бы столько денег было, мне кажется.
An attempt to
Да, но я чувствую, что мы это будем держать до самого
was
конца.
bound to fail from the beginning.
Не, ну типа
The rebels
оружие,
were
броня
against
нам не
the
особо
traditions
нужны, я
and
думаю.
wanted to establish a new order.
Какие-нибудь материалы можно и
People who had the
оставить.
power, not the nobility. Gilak was
Ну, оружие,
not
броню
reasonable.
можно посмотреть всех или все где-то.
At first, before the coup, they tried to raise awareness
По
by
своим
giving
глянам.
underground speeches. A noble endeavor, but not at all thought through. Most dwarves just don't care about politics as long as they can have their mugs of ale. First, he didn't ask me to participate, but the more sour things went, the more he started pushing me. At one point, we had a fight. When he asked me to steal money from my family to support the movement, it was terrible. Finally, push came to shove, and he told me of the coup. He knew that despite my occupation, I was a remarkable fighter and Earthshaper, which is why he asked me to fight alongside him. You can make a difference, that's what he said. By Nihalf, he was just so naive. He really thought it would be like in the old legends, a group of courageous dwarfs fighting their way to Algrim Castle with me at his side. I just don't... Forgive me. It's strange to talk about it like this.
It's okay. Thank you for trusting me.
Yeah, sure. You can imagine how torn I was. I knew he'd die if the coup took place, but I also knew that I couldn't stop him. When I told him he was mad, he called me a coward, a delusional bookworm, who'd rather spend his whole life dreaming about the past than changing the present. And then he left. The next day, I found him beheaded by a royal guard. They didn't even make it to the castle stairs.
Why didn't you tell the guard about the movement's plans? They could have stopped him.
Yeah, they could have. Only to execute him and all his friends the next morrow. Tahar, believe me, I thought about this quite a lot. About what I could or should have done. And do you want to know the saddest part of it?
What?
I came to the conclusion that I did nothing wrong. He had his mind set. And nothing I could have said would have changed what had been about to happen. In the end, there's only so much you can do.
I'm sorry, Iskram.
It's all right.
What happened then?
I ran. Not only because I'd rather have died than return to that empty house of ours, but also because they would have arrested me too. Our relationship wasn't a secret, and in their eyes, I was as eccentric as Gillag and his friends. And we all know how dangerous eccentrics are, don't we? I left my family a letter, telling them not to come after me, bought a horse, and rode as far as it would take me before collapsing. That was 9 years ago. I haven't returned ever since.
I see. And since then you've been studying the Shapers.
Yeah. If there really is, as people say, a silver lining to everything, then this would be it. I'm finally doing what I was too afraid to do back in Windwall. I'm living my dream. Though the price I paid for it was high. And you know what, Tahar?
What?
There's a third reason to my fascination with the Shapers I haven't told you about yet. It's Gillag. Stupid as it may sound, there's a part of me who wants to prove him wrong. To show him that the past has value. That it can guide us towards a better world.
I see. Well, thank you for sharing this, Iskram. I appreciate it.
Yeah. It felt good to talk about it. I didn't expect that. But you're not off the hook yet. The question, remember?
Right. Shoot.
Your past is even more unusual than mine. Growing
Чем
up with a
шахта?
man like Isamu Tahar as your father? Without a mother?
Шахта
And then the
необычная.
whole thing with the Mage Rebellion? I know you've been through a lot. Now, I was wondering, if you could trade that past you've had for a different one, would you do it?
What kind of past could I choose? Anything?
Anything.
Of course I would.
That's what I thought. Either way, pleasure speaking with you. Hope this wasn't too grim for you, but then again, you asked for it.
Ну тебя же зовут Изгрим.
Take
Даже
care,
без
Iskram.
этого.
Ну, у Изгрима какой-то новый скилл.
Бастион.
Может быть, кстати, за разговоры наконец открывается вот это вот Affinity?
Па-па-па-па. Да, кстати. У нас теперь есть Affinity у персонажей.
Ну, только у Изгрима.
Ну,
Yes, Corporal?
мы еще не за всеми поговорили полностью. Тут, конечно, разговоров, как я понимаю.
There's something I've been meaning to ask
Ну,
you.
немножко поговорить,
How did you
продать.
become an assassin?
Why
Ты
do you
своих
know?
всех поэкипировал, чем смог?
Да, по крайней мере, лучше, что я мог найти.
Мгм.
Particular reason, I suppose.
Tandai Tahar.
Ага, это перебивает, понимаю.
Yes, Corporal?
Well,
Why do you want to know?
no particular reason, I suppose. I'm just curious.
Huh. I see. In short, my mother sold me. And after an incident, my owner noticed my talents. He started to train me to carry out jobs for him. And when I was 17, he had an accident. I've been an independent assassin ever since.
Your mother sold you? But where? Why?
Because she needed the coin, and already had 4 children to feed. And as for your first question, where there is demand, there is a market, particularly in a big city like Greyfell. It's not as uncommon as you might believe.
That's quite the story.
Is it?
Even if she needed the money, that's despicable.
Well, to her credit, she didn't take it lightly. At least as far as I can remember. I was only 7 when that happened.
That doesn't make it better. You're saying there's a slave market in Greyfell?
Slaves, sex, murdering for pleasure. Just imagine every dark desire you can think of. And you know what the Greyfell Bazaar has to offer. I find it interesting that this surprises you. Didn't you serve in the Royal Army for 8 years?
I only joined shortly before the Mage Wars started, and the Greyfell affairs were the responsibility of the Greyfell Guard. I just didn't know.
Well, now you do. I do not agree with the purity of light in most aspects. but they are right when they say there are many sinners in this world. If you believe in the kind of sin, that is.
Спасибо.
How do you feel about this? Your mother selling you off?
Well, I used to feel strongly about it. Now I've simply accepted it as part of my past. But there are plenty of reasons for that.
So, who was this man who bought you?
I won't talk about that. This chapter of my past is done, and I want it to stay buried.
I understand.
I'm glad you do. So, tell me, Pariah, how did you become the betrayer's child in the first place? It's rare for a child to defy their own father.
Ты чё, все остальное можно продавать?
My father was a monster.
В принципе,
I had
да.
to stop him.
Именно предметы.
Interesting.
Ну, типа,
On that.
оружие, которое не фиолетовое и не оранжевое, броня.
То есть синее, зеленое.
How about the fact that
Говно.
you started a war?
Many rulers did that.
Да?
And many people would if they were in our position. I would even dare to say it's in our nature. But don't get me wrong. I am not trying to justify your father's actions. I am merely thinking out loud. Either way, is there anything else you need?
There's some...
What do you mean? How can I...
Yes.
I don't know if this is the right moment for this conversation. Maybe another time.
Huh?
How did you become a shapeshifter?
I was chosen.
And how does that work?
Complicated. Are you sure you want to hear the whole story? Time isn't exactly on our side.
It isn't. But the more I know about your abilities, the better. You're fighting for me, after all.
We're not fighting for you, Tahar. We are fighting alongside each other. That's a big difference.
Alongside, then.
Good. Let's make it short then. Shapeshifting is a gift of Zarek. One that only the best of his shamans are granted.
And how does one become a shaman?
He has to be chosen by a tribe's chieftain. You see, magical talent is a lot rarer among orcs than it is among humans or elves. In my tribe, there was only me and Rain. We both discovered our talent by chance. I, when I was 9, and put out a fire that had broken out in my family's hut. Everybody was asleep, even the damn fool that had been tasked to stand guard. When I woke up, the entire room was in flames.
Sure.
So, it was your magic that woke you?
No, I needed to take a piss.
Makes sense.
Armors and shields, everything from...
What happened then?
I panicked and started screaming, as every child would have. However, the only thing that did was make me inhale the fumes even quicker. My vision blurred and I lost consciousness. When I woke up again, I was on a bed of hay in the village shaman's tent, and everybody was staring at me, as if I was Zarek incarnate. I asked what happened and they told me. Just when I had lost consciousness, it had started to rain. Not just a little. It was a full-fledged storm, a deluge from the skies. With not even a minute, all the tents in the village had been flooded. The fire wasn't extinguished right away, but was quickly put out by the other orcs that had been awoken by the storm.
That's impressive.
Well, it was also my last successful weather ritual. If it hadn't been, Barker Gore would be all meadows and forests by now. According to my brothers, I had an orange shimmer in my eyes and was muttering strange words when they took me to the shaman. She told me that was a clear sign that I was gifted and that I had fire in my blood, as my tribe likes to say. Of course, it changed my life entirely. All of a sudden, I was my cal's pride. It was strange, not just for me, but also for my kin.
Give the word.
Looking for potions and scrolls?
How did your family take it?
Well, they were proud. But they also weren't sure how to treat me anymore. For example, my father stopped taking me out on the hunt because he was afraid that something might happen. Which is ridiculous. Shaman or not, an orc who can't wield a spear isn't an orc at all. Also, my siblings became withdrawn. Jealousy, of course, but also estrangement. All of a sudden, their baby brother had become this strange being, which had apparently been bitten by Zarek himself.
It's always like that. Being different isolates you.
I guess.
Interesting. And who was this Rain you mentioned earlier?
Did I? Well, that's complicated. I don't want to talk about it.
All right.
Так, ну с этим все. Остался только Рохин. Картохин.
Короче, у меня сейчас все продавцы будут без денег.
Interesting.
Мы настолько богатые.
There you are. I was hoping you'd come by. The eye. And here I'd hoped I'd never see those bloody castle walls again.
I know that feeling.
Мы тебя все равно с собой не возьмем.
Did my father never tell you anything about those experiments he did there? At all?
Ну ладно, может быть, возьмем.
He didn't.
Я с Рухиным всегда бегаю.
I see. Well, then I guess we'll find out.
Tahar, what is it?
There's one thing I've been wondering about. After we parted at the hideout, what exactly happened? How did you and my father part ways?
Good question. I guess it all started with the relics, the tomes. You remember them, right?
Yes, he was hoping they'd help him to win the war.
Exactly. And there was this one moment when he found the 5th tome, when I came to a realization. You see, there were all those bodies, enemies, but also many of our people. We had shed so much blood, Tahar. But Asamo, he didn't care. If there was any grief in his eyes, I couldn't see it. And as dramatic as it may sound, that's when I finally understood that we had lost our cause. This wasn't about ideals, about us mages anymore. It was about him. Whatever his intentions had become.
And that's the reason Zane, Helena, and I betrayed him. Come on. Do you really want to tell us you didn't see that before? The tomes were all about power.
I knew it was about power, but Asamo always told us that he would use that power for the greater good. And it's not that far off. I mean, can't you imagine? With the power of the tomes, we could have united the world. Even made it a better one. No more persecution of the deviant. No more wars. No more suffering.
Sure.
You mean an aristocracy, with a couple of mages playing God.
There's always someone playing God. And honestly, don't you think the world would have been a better place if there were gods who actually cared? Who involved themselves in politics? I do.
Что, все?
Tahar, what is it?
I'll be off.
Некоторые диалоги внезапно закрываются. Так, ну, мы напизделись.
73 тысячи денег у нас.
Так, кто тут пушки продает? Внизу, чуваки?
Ну, какие?
Одноручные.
Ой, я только на луки смотрел.
Ну, луки мне-то зачем?
Yes? Have you come to see the fruits of my labor?
У нас получается фиолетовой брони, которой не на людях нет. Мы ее все раздавали, да. У нас только 2 шлема, парочка вот этих вот штук и меч. Сине-зеленое я все продал.
Axes, daggers, swords, everything for the weary traveler.
Тут можно вот эти вот немного блупринтов понабирать. На тех юнитов, которые ты точно строишь. Гардианов вот ты строишь.
Ну, Гардианы и Вондереры вроде. Нас интересуют.
Ну вот,
What can I do for you today?
Вордены, ты хотел сказать, или Вондереры.
What do you need?
Может быть и Вордены, да.
Ну, получается, тут можно понабирать это сколько? Ну, Pathfinder, это что? Не, Pathfinder мы такое не строим.
Pathfinder это скауты обычные.
Протекторов ты тоже не строишь. Только уже Гардианов.
Топ. А может быть я протекторов и делаю, а не Гардианов? Я уже забыл, кто из них кто.
Тут же вроде бы есть ветки развития, посмотреть или нет.
А где?
Где-то я видел.
Farewell.
Вот, открываешь в этом и видишь. Инвентарь и прогресс, самое правое.
Понял.
Там
Да,
видно.
протектора мы строим, а не Гардиана.
Ну, то получается взять 2 грейда на Гардиана и 1 на Вардена.
Ну там не Варден, там все-таки Вондерер.
Вондерер?
Ну, я чекнул только что в этой менюшке.
Ну, тогда там получается 7000.
Yes, wanna trade?
На Гардианов 2 апгрейда.
Нравится, как у орков самое маленькое дерево технологий, в принципе.
Угу. Так что можно взять, типа, да?
Бери. Деньги есть. Че бы не взять.
Pleasure doing business with ya. Come again.
Думаю, может быть, Иванку чуть-чуть переспекать, чтобы ей лучше пушки дать. Хотя, коза.
Sounds like a plan.
Все равно давать ей то, что скелется от силы, не имеет особого смысла. Ладно, может потом найду ей пушки получше. Че, погнали туда?
Да.
Файнали. Блять, надо всех кучу собрать.
Hey, how are you holding up? Telepathy, visions, now your father.
I'm fine. It was just a lot to take in at once.
Figures. Now let's go find some answers, shall we? A deadly corporal?
Больше ничего не расскажешь? Не.
Goodbye.
Блин, мне обидно, что мне не открылась эта херня.
Да, но только у Изгрима почему-то открылась. Хотя Ирия была первым компаньоном по факту.
Need anything? Could you tell? Well, it's not my
Hi
home
there.
anymore, but
It is probably yes, but I've never tried it.
How is
generally they review but then again, not all elves. When I've it's
Tell me.
that age doesn't necessarily.
Interesting.
Sure. What?
This might. What? No.
I guess so.
Goodbye.
Гудбай. Варудо маппу. Так. Прожми там, куда нам надо пойти. Я вернусь через минуту.
сайты тут? Нет еще. Потому что поэтому у меня есть вопросики.
Так, я тут.
Да, тут просто... Мы вроде бы ничего не позабывали, потому что когда нажимаю на Travel, proceeding past this point of the story will render large parts of the world inaccessible and may prevent you from completing certain quests. Да и видишь, что просит.
Ага.
У нас вроде бы с квестов ничего такого не висит.
Не, только артефакты, все вот эти вот и
Угу.
броня изгрима.
Ну то пошли, получается.
Да. Я не знаю, может они на какой-то секретки закроют, но мы все равно не собирались проходить на 100%.
Да.